Hello and welcome to Project 3. Uh, Project 3, we are looking at a bunch of different variables and how they're associated to academic performance in high school, specifically looking at the risk of failing high school. So in this project, we have a whole list of variables to choose between. And you're looking at is the categorical variable of your choice associated with academic performance in high school. So the data that we have is pulled from 82 high school students in Massachusetts from the year 1990. So this is very old data, maybe not completely relevant today, but it is what we have to work with. We have an Excel data file, which you can download. If you have Excel on your computer or a tablet, you can work in Excel there. If you do not, you can upload the file back into your Excel you have in your student portal and work with a file through your student portal version of Excel. So I can show you our Excel file here. Our Excel file, we have a whole slew of variables. We've got gender, height, weight, children, parents, homework. So height, weight are clear. Children is the number of children in their family. Again, these are high school students, so they're counted as one of the children in their family. Parents, we are looking at whether their parents are together, separated, or deceased. Homework was the number of hours spent on homework. Job is if they work or not. Job hours, the number of hours they work a week. Allowance, do they receive an allowance? Yes or no. Curfew, do they have a curfew? Yes or no. License, do they have their driver's license? Yes or no. Letter grade would be their average letter grade. Letter grade consolidated is based off of their performance. Are they making good progress towards graduation, or do they need improvement? Are they at risk of not graduating? This letter grade consolidated is going to be all of our response variable. The explanatory variable is the one you get to pick. Then we have, do they attend church frequently, never, infrequently, very frequently? Attend church consolidated, lumped together frequently and very frequently. When we have the father's education and consolidated, again, that's lumping some of the categories together, and same with mother's education and the mother's education consolidated. So your job is to pick a categorical variable of your choice. You can pick anything aside from letter grade consolidated and letter grade, I guess. Though letter grade consolidated is our response variable. Don't use letter grade because letter grade consolidated is based off of that. And then I'm going to use job. So I'm going to ask you not to use job either, since you will see how it works. So this is the data we're working with. So from here, we're going to pick a categorical variable, not job or letter grade consolidated, and again, also not letter grade, that you might think would be associated with academic performance. And then we will look to see if the variable you chose is associated with an increase, decrease, or has no association with the risk of a student failing high school. So again, the explanatory variable is your choice. The response variable is letter grade consolidated, and needs improvement is what tells us that a student is at risk of not graduating. So there's the list of variables we just went through. What we are going to do is we are going to write a research question. So for example, we might guess that is having a job in high school associated with being at greater risk for not graduating? Or we might ask, is it associated with being at less risk of not graduating? We're going to create a two-way table. This is a throwback to Module 10. We're just doing a little review. Then you're going to calculate relevant percentages. So I'll do that example for using job as our explanatory variable. And then we'll compare the risks. So we've mainly done percent change in risk, so we will focus on that. So the way we're going to go about making our two-way table, we did this once before, but we're going to do it again. We're going to highlight all of the data. For all of our students. And then we need to make a table. So let's go with, we're going to insert a pivot table. Depending on how often you've used pivot tables in Excel, it may be automatically there, or you may need to look under recommended or under tables. It depends on what you're working with. So we want pivot table, not pivot chart. So using pivot table, the data is already here. Let's do it on the, we can do it on a new worksheet. And then for our pivot table, we will need to pick the column and rows of our table. So our explanatory variable should always be our column. So our explanatory variable is letter grade consolidated. Just click on that and drag it to the columns. For our response variable goes in the columns. Our explanatory variable, I am using if they have a job or not. That'll be rows. Then for values, we just have to pick a categorical variable. I'm going to go ahead and again just put job since it's there. It doesn't matter what categorical variable we use as long as it is a categorical variable. Then we have our pivot table here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. So again, down the side is whether or not they have a job. Across the top is their performance. So we're supposed to look and see if having a job or not is associated with a greater risk or lesser risk of not graduating high school. So the percentages that we need to look at is we need to consider what is, if a student does not have a job, what is the probability that they are at risk of not graduating? And then if a student does have the job, what is the probability they are at risk of not graduating? So again, if a student does not have a job, or what percent of students without a job is maybe the way we'll go with that. So what percent of students without a job are at risk of not graduating high school? So to do that, we are looking at the number that need improvement. Oops, that's not going to work. One moment. Okay, we'll just type them in. The number that need improvement divided by the total number that don't have a job. And then we'll convert that to percent by multiplying by 100. So we have 50%. So 50% of those students don't have a job or are at risk of not graduating, which is what percent of students with a job are at risk of not graduating high school. So in this case, we have 13 out of 56, and then convert to percent. And we're looking at 23.2% approximately. So it's very clear in this case, it does appear that the students who don't have a job are more at risk, or at least they're associated with a higher risk. Then we can ask, what is the percent change in risk if a student has a job? So the percent change in risk of not graduating high school. if a student has a job. So the formula for percent change in risk, we do sort of the new version, the one with treatment, which in this case would be having a job. So we do the new version minus the old risk. We divide it by the old, and then we multiply it by 100%. So our new risk, again, it's having a job is our treatment. So we will do 23.2, sorry, in parentheses, 23.2 minus 50 divided by 50, and then times 100, and we get negative 53.6. So negative 53.6%. What this means is having a job in high school is associated with a 53.6% drop in the risk of not graduating high school. So again, these are essentially the things I am asking you for. We need those percentages for the risks for if they have a job or not, whether the risk of not graduating, and then what the percent change in risk is. Again, you're free to pick any categorical variable you want other than the ones that have to do with letter grade and job, since I just did that example for you. So that is your project 3. Have fun exploring.